Lois Griffin comes across like a normal housewife and mom. She volunteers at church, packs school lunches, and somehow keeps Peter alive. But under all that wholesome charm is a woman with, let's just say, a very flexible moral compass. Over the years, Lois has made choices that would make most therapists quit on the spot. Let's take a closer look at some of the dirtiest things Lois Griffin has ever done. Lois kicks off her dirty escapades in the episode And I'm Joyce Kinney, where she becomes besties with the newest anchor in Quahog, Joyce Kinney. You may remember her as the woman who replaced the last anchor after that whole triple homicide situation. Anyway, Lois and Joyce hit it off like two wine moms in a hot tub. They swap stories, share secrets, and before you know it, Lois spills something she's never even told Peter.
When I was in college, I was in an adult film.
God, you did a porno?
That's right. College Lois once starred in an adult movie. Not a steamy romance, we're talking full-blown adult film. And she told this to a woman she just met because that's the kind of impulse decision-making we've come to expect from a Griffin. Turns out she never even told Peter, and definitely never told the entire town of Quahog, until Joyce spilled the beans on live TV the very next day. Things spiraled really quickly for her. One minute, Lois is bonding over girl talk, and the next, her dirty past is headline news.
Local housewife and church organist Lois Griffin has revealed to this reporter she appeared in a pornographic movie back in the early 1980s.
Now, we're not saying one video defines a person, but this was not just a spring break went wild moment. This was a professional production. It had lighting, a script, and a pizza guy whose performance is still burned into the collective memory of anyone who saw it. Instead of hiding from it, Lois takes it up a notch. She decides to show the tape in church. According to her, this is a way of owning up to her mistake and hope that the church will forgive her and accept her back. Does that approach work? Somehow, the congregation is into it. Like, into it. The pastor's sweating, the men look to be aroused, and Lois, she's standing up there like she's hosting Sunday night cinema. It's like this was always her plan. But the cherry on top, one of the adult film actors looks suspiciously familiar. And by suspiciously familiar, we mean he looks exactly like Stewie in 30 years. The head and even the posture. You don't have to be a DNA expert to feel extremely uncomfortable watching it.
Oh, look at that. See, now I'm really starting to get suspicious.
Somebody order a pizza?
Now, we're not here to question timelines or do paternity math. That's not our business. Our business is identifying the exact moment Lois Griffin went from suburban mom to adult film alumni. And this is it. Boldly, proudly, publicly, and in the house of God. Lois does another dirty thing in the episode, Call Girl, and this one gets weird fast. The Griffins are strapped for cash, so Lois decides to pitch in by getting a job. What she lands, though, is not exactly office work. It's a phone sex line, and she only finds out once she's walked through the door.
Well, I have a feeling you're gonna be a big star here.
What am I wearing? Nothing at all, sweetheart.
At first, she hesitates. She tries to walk away, but when she hears it pays $2,000 a week, Lois ditches her morals faster than Peter ditches diet plans. She picks up the phone and becomes Classy, her new seductive persona. Her very first caller, Joe Swanson, and it gets real awkward real fast. He starts off flirty, then casually asks Lois to double team him with his son. Lois tries to keep it together while mentally sprinting for the exit.
Hi there. Sexy.
Listen, I want to double team you on the phone with my son.
Ow.
Next comes Mort. His idea of sexy talk? Lois slowly counting the cash in her purse. He moans through every number like she's whispering state secrets. Lois plays along, counting one bill at a time like it's foreplay. Mort hits his peak when she pulls out a 10.
I want you to take the money out and count it really slowly.
I'm sorry, the next bill I have in here is a 10.
Oh, I love you. All that and everything.
Then comes Quagmire, and of course, this is where things get really uncomfortable and way too dirty. He starts by asking if she has a handkerchief. She does. He tells her to ball it up and stick it in her mouth. Then he adds a stapler. Then a mouse pad. Lois follows every instruction, her mouth filling with office supplies like she's prepping for a Guinness World Record. She can't speak, she's drooling, it's uncomfortable for everyone except Quagmire, who is having the time of his life.
All right, let's get this going, sweet cheeks. Good. Ball that up and stick it in your mouth. How about a mouse pad?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, go ahead and roll that up and stuff it in there.
And finally, Peter. Completely unaware that it's his wife, he calls under the name Peter Knight Shyamalan. But instead of dirty talk, he wants to show her drawings. One is him riding an elephant, another is him standing on the moon, and Lois plays along fully in classy mode, and actually flirts with him while complimenting his art. It's sweet, sad, and disturbing all at once.
Hello there, handsome.
You want to see some pictures that I drew?
That's beautiful. Did you draw that all by yourself?
By the end of her shift, Lois has roleplayed with a depressed cop, a money-obsessed pharmacist, a hardcore pervert, and her own husband. There's nothing subtle or classy about it. This is Lois Griffin at her dirtiest. We're moving to the next episode where Lois Griffin lets her dirty side take the spotlight. This one comes straight from Bill and Peter's bogus journey, and yes, it involves the former president of the United States. Lois gets involved with Bill Clinton in a way that's very, very hard to scrub clean. It all kicks off when Peter gets roped into helping the Secret Service fix Clinton's car.
All right, boys, now watch how this is done. Lift with your lower back in a jerking, twisting motion.
Peter, being Peter, tries to lift the entire limo by himself and throws out his back in the process. He ends up in the hospital, immobile and miserable. That is, until Bill Clinton himself stops by to see Peter and hope that it will lift his spirits. He also suggests hanging out with him as a thank you for helping him out. Peter's thrilled to be hanging out with Clinton, even if their idea of fun looks like two teenage kids going on a destructive spree. They party like frat boys with no consequences, and eventually Lois starts to see just how messy this new friendship has gotten.
Well, if he won't listen, I'm just gonna have to go talk to Bill Clinton myself. Mr. President, I need to have a word with you.
She lays down the law. She forbids Peter from seeing Bill ever again. But when has Peter ever taken anything seriously? Nope. So Lois decides to handle it herself. And by handle it, I mean she heads over to have a little chat with the former president.
Well, you certainly are very persuasive.
Hey, you up for a little NAFTA?
What's that?
Another afternoon f***ing that ass.
Yep, Lois Griffin in bed with the president, covered in shame and presidential sweat. What makes it worse is how casually she ends up there. She goes in to end a toxic friendship and somehow ends up rolling around in it. And of course, Peter walks in mid-act carrying stolen cash from Lois's purse, only to discover that she's the one doing the dirt this time.
Hey, Bill, you up for a little bowling? I swiped some money out of Lois's purse. I don't think she'll notice because she's here humping you!
I know nothing I could say to you could possibly justify why I slept with Bill.
Now sure, the episode later plays it off with some half-baked marriage therapy and Lois suggesting Peter cheats back so they're even. But in all honesty, Lois didn't just step over the line, she pole vaulted across it. She was so desperate to take control that she wound up doing the nastiest thing possible with the dirtiest man possible. This was Lois Griffin showing that when the circumstances are right, she can get down and dirty in an instant. Somehow, Lois manages to reach new levels of getting dirty and nasty when it comes to her own daughter. In not just one but two separate episodes, she crosses the line most parents would never even approach. And that's getting involved with Meg's romantic partners. The first time it happens is in the episode Brian Sings and Swings. Meg decides she's a lesbian now, and as usual, the family reacts with mockery instead of support. Peter is bizarrely enthusiastic for reasons that are anything but wholesome, and Lois tells Meg she's just doing it for attention. Later, trying to prove she's serious, Meg brings home her girlfriend Sarah. Lois tells her the only way she'll believe it is if she sees them kiss. Even before we get to the dirty and nasty part, that alone is crazy. Anyway, Meg goes ahead and tries proving it.
It's not a charade, Mom. What do I have to do to prove this to you?
Well, maybe if I'd seen you kiss your girlfriend.
It's the kind of kiss you'd get from your grandparents. But instead of dropping it, Lois decides to show Meg how it's done. She decides she can do better, and right in front of her own daughter, she grabs Sarah and kisses her full on, like she's in some sort of romantic film.
Watch this.
There's no pause or any kind of regret. Just Lois casually turning Meg's relationship into her own experiment. Lois went after Meg's lover again in the episode Ghost Do We Go, and this time things got even messier. It all starts when Peter makes a snide comment about Lois having gray hair. A harmless jab on the surface, but it hits a nerve. She instantly panics about aging, not just looking older but feeling unwanted, and Peter rubbing it in with more insults only pushes her deeper into insecurity. Right on cue, Meg walks in with her new boyfriend Anthony. Unlike her usual collection of walking red flags, Anthony is actually good looking and charming. Everyone seems to like him, and Lois lights up when he notices her. Anthony treats her with more interest and respect than Peter has in years. He compliments her and makes her feel beautiful and seen. And in her mind, it's no longer about Meg bringing home a date. It's about Lois feeling like a woman again.
God, that's kind of hot. I bet you taste like Mountain Dew and Starburst.
She doesn't just watch, she replaces her daughter in the fantasy. She literally draws herself over Meg's body like a horny art project. That's not motherly concern, but lust with a ballpoint pen. Then Bonnie gives her the worst advice imaginable. She tells Lois it's healthy to explore her sexuality. And Lois takes that as a green light to do something completely dirty and nasty.
Oh, by the way, Meg, I forgot to tell you, your grandfather needs you to pick him up at the airport.
Grandpa always makes me so nervous when I'm driving.
She uses the classic distraction move, but the goal is simple. Get Meg out and keep Anthony in, alone to herself. Even when Anthony offers to go with Meg, Lois immediately shuts it down. She literally wants him alone with no witnesses. And then she goes in for the move.
Let's not play games.
Oh my god, wow. I've never had a MILF come on to me before.
There's no hesitation or awkward buildup. She leans in like she's done this before. Because she has. And when Anthony doesn't stop her, Lois takes it further. This is not an accident. She wanted it and she made it happen. What a nasty housewife. Then Meg walks back in after forgetting her keys and sees them together. It's chaos, Meg is horrified, Anthony looks like he just got caught committing a felony, and Lois tries to play it off, but there's no saving this one. The damage is done. In these 2 episodes, Lois went after both of Meg's lovers without thinking twice. First, she kissed Meg's girlfriend like it was nothing. Then she made out with Meg's boyfriend right in their house. She didn't act confused or conflicted, she wanted them, and she went for it. It was selfish, it was bold, and it was downright dirty. We're going to our next episode where Lois does something dirty. This time, it's not just infidelity, it's a full-blown thirst fest disguised as a midlife crisis. In Lois Comes Out of Her Shell, we get a version of Lois that's not just wild, but downright nasty. It all starts when Peter throws Lois a surprise party for her 43rd birthday. The decorations are cute and the guests seem to be excited, but Peter takes it a step further and calls her a reliable old plow horse in front of everyone. The party ends with Lois crying and disappearing for the night. The next morning, Lois returns home dressed like a college intern on her 3rd vodka shot.
Hey, sluts. OMG, stop staring at me, please. Okay, thanks.
Her skirt barely covers anything, and her makeup looks like it was applied with a paintball gun. Her new personality comes with zero shame. She acts like a teenager who just discovered her first club and wants the whole world to stare. It's like she's going all out for this dirty personality. The new hot mom even proudly shows off her tattoo.
Hey, tweeps. But look who just got herself a sick new tat. I guess one of my flaws is I'm just kind of brave.
Later, she throws herself at Peter and demands sex right on top of the clean laundry. Not after dinner like most couples their age, right now. Because nothing says responsible parenting like screwing your husband on a pile of your children's school clothes.
Just get over here and kiss me. Let's have sex on all the clean folded laundry.
Peter being Peter is not just fine with it, he's over the moon. This new Lois is energetic, adventurous, and deeply inappropriate. Her idea of romance now includes shouting, degrading bedroom commands, and moaning about making SPR in your mouth. That's not just dirty, that's a desperate housewife who found one 50 Shades book and took it personally. The transformation gets worse. Lois starts partying non-stop. She pops pills, rides mechanical bulls, and lives out every single rejected music video from the early 2000s. At one point, she throws a fit because Peter wants to go home early. She tells him to get back to the barn if he can't outrun with the wild horses. Yes, she just called herself a wild horse. Peter gives up and goes home, but soon turns on the TV to find Lois at a Justin Bieber concert screaming like a 14-year-old with zero parental supervision.
In a pool of prepubescent sexual moisture.
We love you, Justin!
Now, let's talk about how nasty this is. Justin Bieber was around 18 at the time, so Lois technically wasn't breaking the law, but come on, this is a grown mother of 3 flashing her chest and trying to get access to a teenage pop star's pants like it's her last shot at spring break. Peter rushes to the concert to stop her, but not before Lois tries flashing the security guard just to get backstage. She literally lifts her top without blinking. This is her actual plan. When that somehow works, she tries to seduce Justin with awkward, outdated references, telling him to get his pants off and calling herself Mrs. Robinson. When that fails, she pulls out the Eliza Dushku line and continues trying to undress him like she's at a cougar convention.
Is that a reference to something?
I'm Stifler's mom.
Still, no idea.
Okay, just get your pants off, hun.
Peter arrives in time to save the day by punching a teenager and lecturing Lois about her irresponsible behavior. Lois finally backs down, but not before the damage is done. She may have claimed this was all to impress Peter, but trying to sleep with an 18-year-old boy and lots of reckless behavior is not exactly middle-aged romance. It's a cry for help soaked in vodka and desperation. This version of Lois is more than wild. She's filthy. Not just in behavior, but in the way she completely abandons dignity. A dirty housewife pretending she's still 20 and desperate to prove it to the entire male population under 25. At this point, Lois being dirty is not just a random moment, but a pattern. And in the episode Girlfriend A, she manages to turn basic home maintenance into a full-on erotic performance. By the time it ends, the only thing more wrecked than the house is the man who dared to show up at the door. It all starts with a knock. Meg asks who it is. Lois, already sounding tired and unbothered, opens the door and practically melts when she sees the handyman. Her eyes light up, her tone changes, she blurts out something about booty balls. That's how fast she goes from mom to man-hungry mess.
I'm probably just the handyman here to fix up bocce balls.
And then enters Jamie, a handyman with a jawline sculpted by the gods. He comes in to patch some drywall, but his presence turns this whole house into a thirst trap. One look at him and Lois is rolling her hair and giggling like she's starring in an adult film. We've already seen her do that, by the way. He says he's here to fill a hole. She bites her lip and asks if it's a big job. Jamie says his caulk can handle it. And that's when Lois basically starts dripping with excitement.
Yes. Is that a big job?
Nothing my caulk can't handle.
Fill the hole with your cock.
Everyone in the house is looking at him, but Lois goes the extra mile. She joins Meg in sabotaging her own house just to keep him around, literally breaking things just to make Jamie stay longer. Now, the handyman has 2 women fighting over him while casually talking about moisture levels on the wall. This woman is not fixing a home, she's hunting for a hookup.
Well, it's still a bit moist, but should dry up soon.
Don't count on it.
Well, I usually charge a minimum of 2 hours, so why don't you call me when you have a few things for me to...
But it gets even dirtier. Lois puts on a tiny skirt and walks around flaunting her legs, not aware that Meg is watching. Meg tries to stand up for herself and claims Jamie as hers. Lois responds by threatening her own daughter, saying if Meg doesn't back off, she will end her. And she means it. This is not just cheating energy, this is straight up war for a man she met 5 minutes ago. Then comes the ultimate disaster. In their fight to claim Jamie, Lois and Meg accidentally send him crashing off a ladder. He bounces off a trampoline, gets electrocuted, and then wakes up on the road only to be hit by a car. They literally got the man killed with their thirst. He dies on the street because 2 women wanted his body more than they valued human life. But Lois doesn't learn. At his funeral, she meets Jamie's identical twin. He introduces himself as a therapist who specializes in moms. Lois immediately hugs him with a full body press and then deeply inhales his hair. In front of everyone. At the funeral of the man she just lusted to death. This woman has no brakes.
Are you also a handyman?
Specializing in moms in their 40s.
You must...
So, let's recap. Lois tried to seduce a handyman, wrecked her own house to trap him there, fought her daughter over him, got him killed by accident, and then tried to jump his twin's bones before the coffin had even been lowered. If that's not dirty, then what is? Forget emotional cheating. Lois Griffin went full-blown erotic homewrecker. Literally. And while the handyman is gone, the memory of what Lois did to keep him around still lingers like the cologne she shamelessly sniffed off his brother's neck. In the episode A Wife-Changing Experience, Lois Griffin dials the thirst up to max levels, and we're not talking about wine night with the girls. No, she gets dirty for a man who cannot even feel his legs, Joe. Things start with Peter and Lois being celebrated for their anniversary at a swanky penthouse. Yeah, a full evening of fake smiles and forced laughter. But things go off the rails real fast when Joe accidentally walks in on Lois showering, and she's completely naked.
I'll wash it off. It's my fault for over-guacking the chip.
Ah, Joe, I'm in here!
Joe tries to apologize, but it's too late. Something in Joe gets, well, resurrected. And no, we're not being metaphorical. Later, Bonnie proudly announces that Joe, for the first time in 9 years, was able to perform in bed. You do the math. Lois flashes him once, and suddenly he's back in action. Now, here's where things get real nasty. Lois starts obsessing over it. Sitting alone at the table, she actually wonders if she was the reason Joe could finally get it up. Then comes the filthiest part of the whole episode. She sees Joe peeping at her from his window while she's outside cleaning dog poop off of her shoes. Sounds innocent, right? Think again. She turns a poop cleaning chore into an erotic car wash. She starts spraying her chest, rubbing her shirt while giggling like she doesn't know she's being watched. Of course she knows. Joe's glued to this show like he paid for the view. And this is not just about Joe anymore. This is Lois performing her own X-rated show right in broad daylight, hoping someone's watching. And someone is. Even Quagmire knows what's up. That should tell you something. Quagmire, the man who thinks everything is sexy, is genuinely weirded out. Meanwhile, Peter's getting absolutely none of this attention. Lois walks into their bedroom later that night dressed like she's filming a perfume ad. She throws herself at him, but Peter responds like she just offered him soup. He's confused, and Lois, ever thirsty, gets even more frustrated.
Okay, now time to work some of that magic on my man. Be off and turn you on.
What are you, drunk?
You gotta understand her frustration at this point. The next day, Lois takes things to the front yard. She struts around in a revealing beach outfit, even though it's not remotely sunny. At this point, she's not even hiding it. She's parading herself around like Joe is the only man on the block who deserves to see her in heat.
All right, Joe, it's showtime.
It's not even sunny. God, she's putting on some kind of weird show for Joe.
Quagmire watches from afar, completely horrified. He runs over to Peter and snitches immediately. Tells him Lois has been strutting around like a centerfold just to turn on Joe. Peter doesn't take it well. He knocks Joe off his wheelchair with a punch and storms back to confront Lois. But Lois is not even ashamed. She claims she was doing something nice for a friend, that her little strip show helped Joe and Bonnie's love life. Like, that makes any of this less disturbing. The icing on this whole sexually charged cake? Lois actually walks to Joe's front door wearing a tight, tiny dress and holding a cup of sugar. She's basically delivering herself as a gift, a living, breathing thirst trap.
I was wondering if you needed to borrow a cup of sugar.
Think it's better if you stop.
Joe, for once, shows restraint. He thanks her, tells her he cannot betray Peter, and shuts the door. But not before letting her know that she made a huge impact on his, performance history. This was not Lois being romantic, this was Lois getting nasty. She was bored, underappreciated, and she channeled all of that into turning Joe into her personal fantasy project. The fact that it kind of worked is exactly what makes it so dirty and nasty. And that's Lois Griffin, turning medical miracles into softcore peep shows one neighbor at a time. And finally, in the episode Connie Celica, Lois goes full beast mode and even nastier. After prison toughens her up, she brings that energy straight into the bedroom where Peter gets the worst of it.
Hey, I gotta ask, are you gonna stay that jacked forever? When you made me suck the hairdryer, I enjoyed it?
Lois pins him to a wall, makes him suck on a hairdryer, and still has the nerve to say she's ready for round 2. Do people actually do these things? Or is Lois just a diabolical human being? Because this is not playful anymore, it's forceful, wild, and flat out dirty. Then she lifts an entire closet and blocks the door like it's solitary confinement. Peter is terrified, but Lois is loving it. This bit was only the last few seconds of the episode, but it showed us one of Lois's wildest sides. And there you have it. Lois Griffin's nastiest, wildest, and downright dirtiest moments. From stealing Meg's lovers to manhandling Peter like a chew toy, she's not your average TV mom. She's bold, unfiltered, and always ready to blur the line between seductive and straight up unhinged. But hey, that's exactly why we can't stop watching. Because when Lois gets freaky, Family Guy gets unforgettable.